Welcome to the August 28th, 24 meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review 2 new applications and 4 continuances. We're conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use a platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking in order to preserve bandwidth, and may need to turn off video, with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. The chair will call on all commissioners for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject. A second, and conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. Roll call for all members, including associate members, Louis Caldarella. So please join me in welcoming Louis to the Historic Districts Commission. Louis, welcome.
Thank you.
To this first meeting. And I gather it's Kristen's second meeting, but I wasn't here. So Kristen, I'm welcoming you also. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Our voting members tonight are Tim Whitney, Belinda Shumway, Kristen Dahlman, Luis Berevica, and myself. I just want to say one thing, and that is because Louis and Kristen were not here, and that is when we open it for discussion, I urge everybody not to be repetitive. If you have something to say, say it. If you don't. So we can keep these things moving along at a pace and not get too repetitive. So I encourage you to join in, but be judicious. Our first hearing tonight is Di Clymer on behalf of the Concord 250th Art, Literature, and Music Subcommittee. She lives at 58 Main Street, for the record, and this is in the Main Street Historic District, where they're going to want to install a temporary. No, excuse me. This is at 50. The site is at 58 Main Street Historic District, for the record, to install a temporary wayfinding sign at the Concord Visitor Center with digital map and artwork. Di, do I have that correct?
Yes, you do. Thank you.
I know you didn't live on Main Street. Anyway, why don't you make your presentation?
Well, I know that I spoke with you recently, but just to kind of go over what we're doing, the purpose of our project is to install the wayfinding sign for visitors that are coming for the 250th anniversary, as well as the visitors that come all year long. We wanted to do that in a way that highlights the local sites that are through the center of town in an educational and a creative way. So we have the builder of the sign, Bill Crosby, who is known by many for his excellent work, and the artist, Steve Bermundo, who has done the illustration, the sign itself, or the visual. The design that we are using is something that is going to be very simple. It's going to be made of wood, and it will be a one-sided sign and very accessible, so that right off the pathway to the visitor center. There's going to be a wooden frame around the sign, and then wooden posts that will come down into the ground. The site that we have chosen, we have some slides. Mimi Graney is with me tonight. I hope I don't see her right here, but I haven't seen everybody. But we have some slides to show you. The site has the advantage of being inconspicuous from Main Street, while also easily visible and accessible for those who are on the walkway coming into the visitor center. I might best describe the sign with the pictures. Mimi, can you show those?
I'm here. Am I allowed to share screen?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
So this is the location that I was describing. This yellow line is right where the sign is. This is the visitor center. The public main way is here, the sidewalk on Main Street. And as she mentioned, it's a 4x4 mahogany frame. And this kind of gives you a rough, kind of human-sized scale of what it'll look like. And when it was described as a digital sign, it's actually just it's digitally printed on laminate, but it's not, there's no internal illumination. It's just a printed sign. So this has already been approved by the folks from the Visitor Center, the 250th committees. Public Works came and looked at it. We checked with the building department, the abutters, the Bank of America and Middlesex Savings Bank. The select board has given it its preliminary overview, and we're here now before the Historic Districts Commission. This gives you a little sense of, this was actually even a little bit down the driveway at the bank. So if you can just barely see Dye's Head, and that's where the sign would be. There's existing plantings around it that really limits your ability to see where that sign would be. This is kind of zoomed in so you can see even, when you're moving forward, you'll only just be able to see the top part of the sign. And this is sort of from another direction. This is not a pedestrian walkway here. This is a vehicle walkway. And this is another view, kind of standing in the mulch. So again, off the public right of way, and the sign would be between these two plantings here, in a little sliver of property that that's town-owned property. And this isn't kind of the current draft of the sign.
Di, anything else you want to add?
I don't think there's anything. Bill Crosby has come several times to talk about the installation, and recently with the DPW. And they both agree, the DPW and Bill, that the way he's going to put the sign into the ground is the best way to do it. It can be removed. It's easily too, and repaired as needed. The visitor center is going to oversee the condition of the mural, and in case there's any graffiti or vandalism, they will take care of that. Bill Crosby has agreed to refresh the stain on the mahogany wood framing once a year if needed. And as per the installation contract, the town manager retains full authority to remove and dispose of the sign at any time for any reason. So I guess that's what's on your sheets too. So hope everybody has seen it.
A clarification. I know there's hope that this would become permanent, but at this point, you're only applying for it as a temporary installation. And
Yes,
what are the
yes.
dates of that temporary installation?
Through 2026.
Through 2026.
Because the 250th is planning for activities and programs through 2026.
So to December of 2026.
Correct. The national park, the Minuteman National Park, is actually preparing for programming for the 250 through 2032.
Boy,
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Questions from the commission? Melinda, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I just unmuted. Thank you. I'm just a little confused. The very first slide of what I thought was going to be the final piece had a white church in it and green grass, and then the next thing I saw was all these streets. Am I
Yes. No,
or did you just blow up?
that was just an initial design put there just to show you what the size of the frame would be.
I
The
see.
artist was then, constructing the design. And so the second one shows the center of town with the flag in the middle as the sort of the focal point, the various sites to see around it. And there's going to be quite a bit of information in the sign indicating just where, how long the distance between each site from the flagpole. So
Nice. So we didn't see what was going to be the final project then.
the description, the sign that you just saw, which was the map in the middle
Yeah,
with the sites around it, that is pretty close to the final one. He
Okay.
hasn't put in all of the extra detail about the distances.
thank you.
Other questions?
I have two, actually. The first one is, Di, you have a list of other entities who have reviewed this. Were they given the preliminary presentation that we had seen before, or had they seen this one?
This one,
This one? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have a comment, I guess, about the I don't mean this to sound prejudicial, but it's the interpretive drawing of all these different sites. Has anybody, and I don't want to be putting artists on the spot and limiting their employment, but has anybody given thought to having more realistic pictures of what these places actually are, since it is, of course, in the center of an historic district? And my take on it would be, personally, that I would be more interested in going out to these sites if I saw what they actually look like, rather than an artist's interpretation. It just looks to me a little bit, again, no better way to say it, probably, this seems just a little bit cartoony to me. Just throwing that out there as a
we
possibility.
haven't, well, that's interesting, Walter. We haven't gotten a comment regarding that from the people who have seen it thus far.
Okay, well, maybe the odd man out.
Well, I think we did want it to be creative and not as if it came from a book. We chose the artist carefully and been recommended by several people.
Mhm.
I think it is a touch playful. I agree with you on that. It's certainly cheery. The colors are not too brilliant. They're a little bit more muted to go with the brick facades behind it and beside it and all around it. But we did want it to look like art and not like a picture book, to make it a little bit more fun.
Any other comments? Luis? You're muted. There you go.
A quick technical comment. This is a temporary installation, and it's being asked that it stays until 2026 or something like that. Is that correct, Di?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I suggest that this commission approve this as a temporary installation that will last 6 months, and that the applicant submit a letter to the town planner requesting an extension for 6 months, and that this extension be automatically granted for 4 times. So it will stay until well into 2026. Just to keep the guidelines of the commission in terms of temporary installations in consideration, and to provide the applicant with the opportunity to have what seems to be a very useful and cooperative sign. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's correct. The temporary is usually there for 6 months. So that's a technicality, which I think shouldn't be too difficult. The other thing I'm noting is that there are 2 low shrubs on either side of where you're putting it, we talked earlier about putting something taller there to hide the sides of it so that it would soften them on other end. Have you given any more thought to that?
You mean shrubbery?
Yeah, an arborvitae or something on either side in order to frame it better than the low
Yeah.
ones.
Well, we have not considered that, but I certainly, there's no reason why we couldn't. I mean, maybe the town might want to put that in.
You know, I
It
think
should
that,
be it should be very narrow.
yes, very narrow that goes
Yeah.
on either side. There was a feeling that you still would see around the back to a certain extent, and it might soften it. And I think one of our members mentioned that, who isn't with us tonight. It might have been Bill, who's a tree guy. So if that's possible, that would be wonderful.
Okay, well, we can look into that.
Great.
Hmm.
If there are no other questions, does anybody want to make a motion?
Dennis, I have a comment.
Sure, Tim.
I'm going to take a different approach here. And the last time this was presented, I voiced concerns about the size of this and the billboard nature of this sign. And I still have that concern. And I'm wondering if more of a tabletop sign tilted where you would see it waist high, more horizontal display, smaller, was ever considered, because this is a 4 by 7 foot, more or less enormous sign, on posts, vertical, and you could easily convey the same amount of information on, say, a 3 by 5, slightly more horizontally tipped on 1 or 2 posts, and then it would be much less visible from the street. I also share Walter's concerns about the somewhat cartoony nature of very important places. It's a big wood construction, and so I'm just wondering if any other commissioners share those same concerns. Thank you.
Any other comments along those lines?
I'd just like to
Linda?
say that has never occurred to me. But I think that it is something to be considered by your committee. In some ways, it might be easier to read, especially, I don't
So
know.
we did initially take a look at that possibility, and it was ruled out immediately by the visitors center folks. They said that would not be as easy for people to see. There's a lot of information on the sign, and when you start looking over at it, the number of people that can look over at it is fewer. This way, people can stand back and see the sign, and there could be several people, a group of people, a whole family or whatever, looking at the sign and figuring out where they're going to go see next. Whereas if it's one that's tipped up like that, it's more like something that you have in a gallery, and not outdoors. So it just it didn't seem to work at all.
Okay.
If there are no further comments, do I have a motion? Anybody want to make a motion? I cannot, so one of you has to.
I don't remember how to make motions, so I will make a motion. I'll move that we approve the application of, and I lost my cheat sheet, the application of the Concord 250 Art, Literature, and Music Subcommittee to install a temporary wayfinding sign at the Concord 250 visitor centers with a digital map and artwork that will be approved for a period of 6 months and renewed 4 more times after administrative approval and a request from the applicant.
Di, just as for a second, administrative approval means it doesn't have to come back before us.
Thank you.
Okay, just the staff.
Thank
Do
you.
I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's Melinda seconded. Okay. Tim. Oh, yeah, Tim. Gonna make sure I get the voting members here.
I'm voting nay.
Okay. Melinda,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you, Di.
Thank you.
Good, good. Good
I
luck
think
with
it's going to be a
your.
wonderful addition.
Great, thank you. Great, now on to our next hearing. The Town of Concord CPW Engineering, Main Street, Walden Street Public Right-of-Way. In the Main Street Historic District, installation of 2 illuminated bollards within the proposed bump outs on the west side of Main Street at the ADA accessible crosswalks. Is someone here from the town?
Yes, me, Joe Cormier. I'm with the engineering division.
Welcome.
Thank
Why don't you
you.
tell us what you want to do?
So I'm here to present the proposal to install 2 lighted bollards as part of the Main and Walden Street improvement intersection project. Just to give you some background on the overall project. This is a MassDOT Shared Streets and Spaces grant project. So it's partially funded by the state and partially funded by the town. It's a project to improve the overall safety and function of the intersection. And by doing that, we're currently in the construction stage of it actually right now, and we're constructing bump outs on the north and west side of the intersection, as well as 2 on the south and east side of the intersection, where Walden meets Main Street. I will share with you the current site plan of the project. Let's see here. So this is the overall general plan that we're constructing, and this plan was presented to the HTC back in 2022, where we were in the design phase of this overall project. And at that time, these bollards that you see where we're proposing here in the red dots were not part of the plan, and that is because as the design progressed, some of the vertical elements of these bump outs got reduced. Some of that was due to ADA compliance and grading with these ramps and things of that nature. But the overall goal of the project was to reduce speed, make ADA mobility throughout the entire intersection improved. There's some sidewalk improvements that we're also doing. But because of the vertical elements were reduced, the visibility of the bump outs as you approach this intersection from Monument Square slightly got diminished. So to try and improve that, we wanted to install some lighted bollards to illuminate and distinguish the leading edge of, well, the leading edge and the trailing end of these bump outs just on the north side of the intersection here. So that's the real purpose of it is to improve safety for oncoming motorists, and as well as to illuminate pedestrians that are waiting at these that are waiting to cross the road at these ramps. We're not proposing any on the south side of the street. As you can see, there's 2 existing streetlights that are adjacent to these that are adjacent to the ADA ramps, as well as the bump outs that illuminate these during the nighttime. So the biggest thing here that we're trying to promote is safety during low light hours due to the low curb feel that you see along the leading edge and trailing edge of the bump outs. So I have example of the bollards and a quick elevation rendering of what they'll look like installed. So this is a quick sketch of the location of where the bollards are going to be installed. This rendering kind of makes it look like that the bollards are going to be installed along the sidewalk, which actually they're going to be 6 to 7 feet out into beyond the existing curb line that currently exists out there. So they will be inside the curb line of the bump outs, but beyond the existing curb line that exists out there today. So the first of the two options of bollards that we're proposing is this bollard here. It is made out of black cast aluminum. It has a louvered shield along the lighted element, which is the top 6 inches that you see here. So that the louvered lens here is to direct the light downward to reduce the amount of light that's emitted upward and horizontally. Because again, the purpose here is really to just illuminate the bump out itself, the curbing, and the pedestrians that are standing adjacent to this bollard. So I have here a couple of the lighting specs that we're looking at. We're looking at a 35 watt LED element with a 3000 K color temperature. And again, it would be a black aluminum cast aluminum finish. The reason we're going with this is because it matches similar lighting fixtures that we've used in town. There's some new light poles in West Concord on Com Ave that have a similar fluted post section here. So we're trying to keep in line with something that's already in town, along with going with the historic look. So that is one of the options that we are looking at. The second option, which you may be familiar with, is a similar option that you see walking down to the visitor's path, which you saw in the previous presentation. One thing different about this that the lighted bollards heading down towards the visitor center don't have is they are not dark sky friendly whatsoever. This one, we would be moving the LED element up into the dome of the bollard itself to project light downward and almost eliminate the amount of light that is from the horizontal upward. It doesn't completely eliminate it, but it does reduce it significantly. So both of these options are dark sky friendly, and we are proposing a similar lighting wattage and color temperature. This one also is would be cast aluminum with a black powder coat finish, similar to the existing ones that are out there heading towards the visitor center. I do have a picture of the ones that are out there currently. And as you can see in this picture, there you can see the LED element within the lens of the bollard. This wouldn't be the case. This would be moved up into the dome to help it make it dark sky friendly. So these are the two options we're proposing. We wanted to give the board or the commission an option, as well as give us availability on procuring these materials. So that's the information I have to present.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
Are there any pictures available of them lit so we can see what it actually looks like?
I do not have any pictures of them lit. I did reach out to the manufacturer to see if they did, but they weren't able to supply any to me.
Other questions? Any preference on style?
Number two.
Number two? You mean the one that matches the visitor center?
The one that has the LED tucked higher up. Looks like, yes. Looks less less science fiction-y.
Other thoughts?
How many of these go down to the visitor center now?
That's a good question. There's more than 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
I'm not sure. exactly how many.
Your picture had 4, I believe.
This one here. There's 3 here, but I
Oh,
believe
excuse me, there isn't one here, only 3.
I know that there is another one behind this picture that wasn't which has a different base than we would be using. This is the base here that we'd be using. The one that's the 4th one has a square external mounting bracket that we didn't want to use because we thought these looked cleaner.
And did I read the drawings right, that where these are located, it's at the level of the street and not the sidewalk? So it's an ADA area, is that correct?
Yeah, so the curbing here is flush along the entrance of the crosswalk, and as the curbing heads back towards the existing sidewalk, it does get raised up. So where they would be installed, it's approximately 2 inches above the road surface.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
I have a question. Are they both of these the same height?
Yes, they are. The first one is 45 inches tall, and the second option is 38 inches tall, 38 and a half inches tall. So there's the 2 options are slightly different, but they would be the same height depending on the option that we go with.
Which is which height?
So depending on which one gets approved, I'm hoping that both of them get approved, so we have options for procurement reasons. But first option's 45 inches, and then the second option is 38 and a half inches.
So
Gotcha.
both available in both heights, is that what you're saying?
No, only this option is only available in 38 and a half inches. The second option, the first option, is only available in the 45 inches.
Okay.
So you're looking for approval of both to give you flexibility on purchasing,
Exactly.
and they're 2 different heights.
Yep.
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 I would definitely would prefer the shorter one myself. I agree. Go with option 2. I know it's maybe a crimp on purchasing, but that's my thought on that.
I don't think that as a commission, we can leave that amount of leeway to the applicant between a 38 and a 45-inch height bollard, because they are quite different. So I believe that if we approve this application, it should be for one of them in particular, and seems to be that the preference is for option number 2, what is depicted as Newburyport style or something like that.
Never saw that in their report.
Yeah. So hopefully the applicant can be concise in the sense that that is what's going to be installed, because I don't think that there may be some opposition to option number 1.
I have one other question. What's your preference? Does the town have a preference, or your engineering department like one over the other? And is there a big price differential? Is that what you're worried about or not?
Yeah, price is always the price point is always a concern. Preference wise, I mean, the functionality of it, I think they're going to serve the same purpose. The option 2 is more expensive than option 1, from what I've priced out so far. But yeah, I mean, it's they would both serve the same function, engineering wise, for what we're trying to achieve.
Other questions? If there are none other, let's hear a motion from someone. Luis, you motion man tonight?
I just woke up. I move that we approve the application of the Town of Concord CPW Engineering for Main Street, Walnut Street public right-of-way to install 2 illuminated bollards within the proposed bump outs on the west side of Main Street at the ADA accessible crosswalks, and that these bollards be what has been presented as option number 2, with the caveat that at all times they should be dark sky compliant.
Great. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second,
Thank you. Tim,
aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
and I am an aye. I would add that if you have a problem getting number 2, please talk with the staff and we'll figure out how to move from there. And hopefully you won't have to come back for another hearing, but you heard our preference is for the second bollard.
Yep, yep. I do want to add too that it does not meet, neither of these bollards meet the dark sky compliance regulation. They are dark sky friendly. I do want to make that clear. Dark sky compliant is a very difficult standard to meet in these bollards, but they are dark sky friendly, meaning that the amount of light that they emit above the horizontal plane is very minimal.
Thank you. 2 things. Well, I have you. Anne reported to us a while back that you wanted to let us know about collapsing light poles in town, and we've heard nothing further on those. The thought was we may be approving another style. Have you solved the problem?
So I'm thinking Anne was maybe referring to CMLP. I believe they're the entity that is in charge of light poles in town. This scenario is a little different where it's a bollard, so we would be, Public Works would be in charge of it. But yeah, the light poles are more under the jurisdiction of CMLP.
Okay, great.
Yeah, CMLP,
You're-
this is Steve Duquin. CMLP has an engineering division as well.
So do you have news on the light poles?
No, I'm saying, if Anne said engineering, she meant CMLP's engineering. Yeah.
Great. I had one other question for you, or one other thing for you. At the end of the meeting, under other business, we're going to talk about the trailers. Are you able to talk about that now, so you don't have to wait until the end of the meeting to talk to us about them?
I don't believe that's not under CPW engineering. I'm not sure who that is referring to.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're on to continued public hearings. The first one is Lynn Wilson from the R.W. Emerson Memorial Association, the Emerson House at 28 Cambridge Turnpike in the American Mile Historic District to install a fence enclosure. Lynn, are you here?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Oh, there you are.
Hi,
Welcome.
yes. Thank you. So a few weeks back, I came before the board for approval for fencing enclosure for My Mini Pony, which the town granted a special permit for. And I came up with a template because there's really not too many local to see currently that serve a purpose of keeping a pony in versus a fence for looks for the front of a house or for dogs or anything like that. So in the previous meeting, it was asked that I go to the town to see Jesse Hooper down in the special collections at the library and do a little research for historical fences for farmlands in early 1900s and such. Which I did, and she really was about as dumbfounded as we all were, with there's really not a whole bunch to pull from. She found 2 photos of early 1900 Concord farms with fencing, which is not really lines up with what I'm looking for. The fencing of that time period usually was for property boundaries and grazing boundaries, which would encompass hundreds of acres. So we sent along those pictures to you folks, which I hope you have. And then I came up with 3 other options to go along with the first template that I made. And I sent those along also, which kind of resemble a little bit of the old fashioned look, but also with the practicality and the safety of, keeping an animal safe in this current day and age. So I hope you folks have those, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Those would, Kim, are those pictures available?
Yep, sure. Let me share my screen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Basically from the library, old round, very could be just a debarked tree and barbed wire were one of the fences, which was very popular in the property boundaries and grazing boundaries. And then there were a few others, but very kind of mismatched and didn't really offer much. And she was surprised that there wasn't really much to pull from. So we kind of thought that taking a little bit of the old-fashioned, maybe standard look of a fence versus with just the practicality and safety of current conditions to keep an animal safe.
Hold on, Dennis. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Fencing options.
Yep, that's number one. Number two, all fence posts are 4-inch and all rails are 4-inch in each of these. And then that's it. And then there were 2 historical photos which were emailed also, which you're happy to look at. Really, there wasn't a whole lot. So if you pull those in closely, they're mainly pasture land or property line fencing, which is not a safe situation anymore. So I was hoping that one of my 3 drawings might work to blend in and offer an eye-pleasing, appropriate look along with safety.
At that meeting, and I know there's some questions, which is why they
Yes.
Linda's back before us. Have those questions been satisfied? Are there other questions you want to ask her?
I'm just wondering how high is the fence?
The fence is the same height as the original proposed. It's 46, 47 inches, depending on just where it lays in the ground. So they're all the same. Each of them.
And the post to post dimension would be
Either 8 or 10 feet. I'm happy to do either or, whichever.
So if we go to those sketches,
Yeah.
just want to see those 3 sketches.
Yep.
Kim, if you could.
Yep. Sorry.
And material, Lynn? What are you
Cedar
proposing?
posts and pine rails.
I'm sorry?
Cedar posts and pine rails.
Okay, thank you. Just unfinished, natural finish.
Yep. So they gray and blend in. Yep.
Here, I'm trying to get it open.
Is it gonna be backed with
Good.
white or just the wood?
Excuse me?
Is it gonna be backed with wire or?
So original, yes, we in the first meeting, it's a galvanized , basic standard wire, yes.
You
And
have,
that's-
you have galvanized wire on that sort of mock-up you have now?
Yes, in that original picture. Yep, yep. So you basically can't, maybe this woman wasn't here in the first meeting. The prior templates that I built and sent in the first meeting has the completed look, and you basically can't see the wire.
Right. So I noticed you can't see it. Just my two comments were,
Yep.
I would go to 2 rails. I think the less fence, the better. So 2 rails versus 3. And
Yep.
I like the 8 foot on center. I don't
Yep.
think these are quite drawn to scale.
No,
Because
no,
they-
they're not, but 8
they're-
foot is fine. That's a good average, and it's safe, and I agree with that. 8 feet.
Right. So these are, actually going to be, the posts are going to be wider apart than represented here.
Absolutely. Yes, this was just for drawing. purposes.
So thank you. Those are my comments.
Yep.
Other comments?
Yeah, what is the gate design? And you have 2 gates, correct?
There's currently one gate, which we would mimic, it was in the original, the gate design wouldn't change. The hardware would just be compliant to there it is right there. So the gate design would stay like that. If that would suit with you folks, and if you'd like me to match it along, it could look like the fence. If you'd like me to, I could redo that. It's a really good gate. I wanted to reuse it, so but if you would choose me to match the fence, I can do that.
Personally, I think it would look better if I can mention aesthetics if it did match.
Okay, that's
I
perfectly
understand,
fine.
I understand the reuse though.
Yeah, no, it's a great sturdy old gate, and to get good sturdy old gates is not an easy thing. So, but I am happy to make it match. I agree, that would look nice.
Yep.
And I'm happy to do the 2 panel. I think that is aesthetically will look very nice.
If I may mention, I think that this application is much more difficult than it looks, because this is probably one of the most historic sites in Concord, or among the most. And we have to put a fence which is entirely pragmatic, and we don't have any references. So we have to find some way that we make this fence a historic reference for the sake of the commission itself, and for the sake of providing the applicant with a guide by which the fence extends and enhances the historical significance of the rest of the structure itself, the rest of the site. So from my perspective, you see, all of them don't look particularly beautiful or anything like that, but they can certainly, they may be made historically relevant if we make them very functional and very pragmatic. So one of the things that I would ask the applicant to do, and that I would put it as a request, as a requirement for approval of the application, is that the wood be aged right away when it's installed. You see, by applying some varnish or something, so it looks a little older than it is. But I fully recognize that this is a compromise, because we really don't have any references to apply here, except the fact that in other times this was mostly an agricultural land, and that fencing animals was absolutely expected and normal. So
Right.
I'm just trying to sort of try to balance, seeing Emerson House and then seeing a fence that, I'm not going to say that it came from Home Depot, but it could have come from Home Depot, which would not be appropriate at all. So I'm trying to sort of blunt a little bit the effect of
Right,
the
and
forced
it,
modernity that we have to impose at the site.
I can appreciate that. It actually, in probably the 8 weeks since, or not even 8 weeks, in 6 weeks, what has aged. So it ages actually quite quickly. There's a major aging already, but I agree. Applying a varnish to instantly take away the newness is a great idea. and I'm happy to do that.
My overall comment about this, and I think it was mentioned at the last meeting, and it's been my concern all along. Fortunately, this fence simply puts some post holes into the ground, and I don't think we're going to create any destruction for archaeological digging that may want to go on here at some point. Think about this house as being a continual use by one family, and pretty much as it was when Emerson lived there. So this is actually quite unique in Concord. And so far, the association has not done a survey of the landscape and the history of the landscape or documented it as far as we know. And I think to do that is going to be important going forward. So if this were any more destructive than fence posts, I would not be in favor of it, because I think that it, particularly if we were a permanent destruction of the landscape, because I think Lewis was hinting at, we don't know what was here. And certainly this probably wasn't there in that particular space. So there's no way it's going to be historically correct at this point. We're trying to make it fit in to the best of our ability. But I hope that the association will do something about further study of the landscape.
I will bring that up. And also the East Meadow was always and is still a vegetable garden. So we do know that for a fact. In its day, it's right. The vegetable garden is right where it was, which is next to this. So that's what was there. And yeah, so there's a little bit of knowledge of what was in that area many moons ago. But
Right.
I can pass that along to the Emersons. That would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions,
I have a question. Wait a
Linda?
Yeah, this is gonna be a paddock, right? Are you gonna have a stall in the barn as well?
There is a stall already in the barn. The barn was refurbished. I think it was finished about just shy of 4 years ago. They had cattle, and so there is space in the barn for that. Yep.
Okay, so you're gonna be keeping this horse there year round?
Yes. Yes.
Just
The
wondering.
barn is set up into 3 compartments. And it was historically restored. I think it took a few years or many years, but it finished about 4 years ago, and it's right back to the way it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Back in the old days, when I was director of the Concord Museum, that was collection storage, the Emerson barn, for
Mhm.
oversized items.
Oh
So
boy, it was full.
I got to-
Boy, you couldn't put enough thing in it about 5 years ago, but it's empty, if you can believe it.
Yeah. Other questions? Do I have a motion?
If I make the motion, I'll charge for it.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the application of Lynn Wilson for the R.W. Emerson Memorial Association, the Emerson House, 28 Cambridge Turnpike, American Mile Historic District, to install a fence closure with the style that has been mentioned by the commissioners, which I don't know how to refer to it.
Option 2.
Option number 2, with fence option number 2. And that some type of varnish or material be applied upon installation, such as to accelerate the aging process.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, let's look at some voting here. Tim?
I'll second that, first of all.
Oh, sorry, I forgot the second. Thank you, Tim.
And then I'll say aye.
Okay, sorry about that. Melinda?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Great,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Now on to 29 Lexington Road in the American Mile Historic District. And this is an application from Sir Adius to modify the structure by removing the east side porch, painting chimneys, removing roof overhang above west side door, and replacing and installing gutters, and to modify landscaping by altering steps, railings, drive, and walkways, removing a concrete strip and adding two dog statues, a granite apron, terrace, hot tub, HVAC condensers, and vegetative screening. And I think I mispronounced your name. Sorry about that. Zura, are you here?
I don't know if he's here. This is Lily Morse.
Hello.
I think I'm in charge right now.
I see him on the phone down here, but if you're
I am here.
Okay.
great,
I am
great.
here. Thank you.
So why don't we move ahead?
So we haven't revised the application, but based on our meeting today, we are not asking for the dog statues. Will not paint the chimneys. We'll keep them brick. That the front steps are just going to be repaired as is. And there will be no request for the reclaimed granite apron at the driveway, but just for removing the asphalt and putting in a pea gravel driveway. So, and then as we discussed in the meeting today, there's still a request for the hot tub, which is there, but it would be moved to the back corner with an arbor over it. So that would need to be another application with the details of that. So if I were just to go down the project narrative and the items, I'm sorry to be a little disorganized here. Still would like to remove the porch on the right side of the house and add the doors and windows will remain the same, but there would be a 3x4 reclaimed granite step outside the existing door. 2 air conditioning units would go between that door and the existing bulkhead and would be screened by an evergreen hedge. On the west side of the house, there would be 2 stepping stones and then set in pea gravel and then covering the existing concrete with pea gravel and removing the overhang on the porch on that side of the house and adding a bluestone tread to the existing concrete step and for it to match the front steps. Yeah, so then the original plan showed an irregular granite terrace in the back corner, which we are now, based on the meeting today, proposing to put the hot tub so that the design of the gravel or the granite terrace will obviously change a little bit. So I don't know quite how we proceed from here in terms of documenting the application.
Hey, Lily, I just want to mention 2 other things
Yep.
that we discussed this morning was changing the color of the gutters
Oh,
from
sorry,
black
yeah.
to
Copper.
a white or a copper, or whatever you as an owner want to propose, or the owner wants to propose, in keeping with what we have in our recommendations. And also there's the granite post that was installed in the southwest corner adjacent to the Concord Art that people should just be aware of. That I personally don't have a problem with that, but I think I just want to note that that has also been added prior to all this discussion.
Yeah, so I think copper gutters is what the owner would like to put in.
Half round copper gutters.
Yes.
So I think my perspective on walking through all this morning is we made good progress. And it came down to the hot tub being relocated and being screened with some sort of structure, arbor that could be planted, moved tight to the wall, but you'd have to check on zoning setbacks for that side setback because it is a structure, and come up with a plan, a new landscape plan and an architectural drawings for this structure for us to review. So I don't know, Dennis, how maybe we can approve everything else and separate this out as a separate application, or just logistically, I'm not quite sure how we do this.
Kim, you can correct me on this, but I think what we would do is approve what she had walked through, with the exception of those items that need further refinement. And I think they would be the hot tub and the arbor over it, and then a landscaping plan. Are those the ones,
Yes, yeah.
Elizabeth? Okay.
Yeah, so
So
there's an
those-
existing landscape plan, but obviously would have to change to reflect taking out the items that were on the original application.
Sure. So I think those two items, the hot tub and the renewal of the landscape plan or would have to be submitted later. I'm not sure, Kim, if they have to be a new application for those, or whether it's simply a continuance of this in some way.
I'll have to check with Anne. I'm not sure. It depends, I guess. It may need a new application.
I think we'll need a new application for the hot tub.
For the hot
and
tub.
And the arbor. I'm not sure if the landscape plan will need a new application, but
No,
if you're applying anyway, it'd simply be a part of that same application. But that's a major change to move it, and you have some work to do on that.
So, but you could, I mean, theoretically, you could give the owner the permission to tear down the porch and the overhang and put in the air conditioning
And
units.
the gutters. I don't have any problem with right now in discussing those other aspects. Luis?
I just wanted to say that we have to stick to what the application says. And the application that I have in my hand, that where it's documented on the website and what has been submitted documents, has 14 items, of which we all have agreed by consensus that some of them are not going to be approved. Some of them may be approved, some of them will be modified. There are major features in the whole application that have been a matter of great interest for the Historic Districts Commission, and that is essentially the hot tub on the back. And we have absolutely no documentation of what are the alternatives, where it's going to be located, how it's going to be screened, etc. So that part of the application cannot even be considered because we don't have enough data to entertain that option. So my suggestion in this setting would be that we take these 14 items, which is what has been submitted, and then we make a partial approval of the application and we reject all the other points. That the applicant then submit a new application for the next issues that have not been resolved tonight. And the reason that I'm saying that is because we are forced by town regulations to render a decision within a certain amount of time. And we have been entertaining this application for some time. So it behooves that the HDC renders a decision about the application. And it also helps the applicant to know exactly what is expected of him for the next time that the application is considered. So my advice would be to go through all the 14 points, approve them partially with the modifications that we find appropriate, and that those that are not being approved, that the applicant makes a new application for those sections.
Right, that's basically what I think we should do, Luis. Thanks for detailing that. Before we do that, are there other questions, thoughts, suggestions? Melinda?
Yeah, I have some, I have a question about the terrace too. Because I think, should we approve the move of the hot tub, and then you'd have a terrace on top of that? You're talking like very little land left. Are there some rules about how much you can cover? That's not a very large area. And I'd just like to know what that, we have no design right now, I don't believe, of what kind of terrace would exist. And I'd like to see
On the
that.
original plan, but it obviously is going to change with the change of the hot tub.
Right, so I would leave that out for now, so that we could have more definition of that.
Right, I would agree. That would be I would leave out certainly the landscape plan, overall landscape plan and the hot tub. Other
So
questions?
that will remove points 10 and 11 of the application as it stands.
Right, I don't,
Yeah,
I don't have it in front of
I
me.
have the thing over here because it's very long.
okay.
What about following Luis's thinking, but also having Lily redo the site plan that reflects what we're talking about, so we have a document as administrative follow-up. So we get part A documented, and just take out everything to do with the hot tub is removed from that site drawing, because that's going to be a future project submitted as we're talking about submitting it as a different project, and then at least we'd have an updated site plan in the file that reflects where we are, because there's a lot of notes on Lily's site plan that describe this, and a lot needs to be adjusted based on what we've talked about today.
So you'd like a site plan with documenting everything we're going to approve today, which would
Yeah, just as
the terrace and the hot tub.
administratively.
But I
Yeah,
don't think
just-
that we cannot approve anything without a site plan. You see, that
We
would
don't
be
have-
inappropriate.
Sorry, we don't have a site plan. We
Exactly,
have,
we cannot approve anything without a site plan. That's the reason that I'm suggesting, and for the sake of time, that we go each one of these points and we approve those that we can approve, or discuss those that we can discuss. And that means that we have documentation, and that we discard the ones that we don't have documentation, we don't have a plan, etc. So, the item number 1 would be to remove the existing non-historic enclosed porch. So I think that's a very legitimate request, and I think that we could discuss it, and I think that is a reasonable proposition by the applicant. So we could discuss that, and then we could go point by point.
So let's do that. That would lead to a site plan that I gather would be submitted to the staff, and to document what has been accomplished or wants to be accomplished. Correct?
On a new application.
Right. It would be attached to the current application, because that's what Tim is suggesting we want.
Well, but okay.
Yeah, separating the hot tub and the site work associated with the hot tub and the structure or whatever, because we're not rendering any decision on that. We haven't seen anything.
No.
We don't even know if it'll work, so, but there are.
But it's in the application, so that's something that we need to approve or deny.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that those things that for which we have no documentation and we have no way of discussing it, we should deny. And those things that we can discuss, of which are 14 points, and I would suggest that that we put the actual project narrative on the screen, so we can go one by one and discuss it. You see, because I think that will give some clarity to what we're doing. Is that possible?
Tim, do you have?
Sorry, this is Ortiz. I was just wondering, would it be easier to redesign the current plan? I don't know if it falls within the timetables of your approval process. Would it be easier for us to come in with one specific revised plan that's more limited, or would that not work with the timetable of how the historic commission works?
I think at this point, we really need to approve aspects of this application tonight because it's gone on, as been pointed out, way too long.
Terrific.
That's to your benefit.
Thank you.
Can we put the narrative on the screen? Is that possible?
Sure, I'll pull it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah. Because, we can go to the 14 points, and I think that, the applicant deserves to go home with something, he kind of starts working.
I agree.
Yep.
I have it on my screen. Well, no, I don't know if I can share my screen, but I have it over here.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, but it's just
Okay.
the desktop.
Sorry about that.
Well, I can maximize if I can share my screen. Is that possible? I don't know how to do that.
Having a little trouble here. Sorry about that.
Okay, let me see if I can. Let me see what am I going to share. It's kind of scary. Oh, okay, I can share that. Let's see. I want to share that. Okay, share. Can you see the document?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so item number 1, it's remove non-existent remove the porch. So we can discuss that. And then we
Can you
go.
increase that a bit, Luis?
Oh, sorry. It will be done in a sec.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, first item, the remove the porch. Do we have any comments on that? No, so let's move along. Painting the chimneys, that is taken off the list, correct?
Correct.
Okay, redo the steps and the railing at the front of the house. Has that changed?
Yes, we are only proposing to just fix the cracked stones and keep the existing stairs the same. Just
Okay.
with repair, not changing the shape or the railing.
So that would be sort of a replacement in kind, right?
That, exactly.
Correct.
Okay. So you don't need an application for that. So we don't even have to consider that point.
Correct. So that's fine. The dog statues are gone.
On.
Can you move, Luis, can you move it up so we can see
Sure.
that?
I'm sorry. I'm looking at my phone.
Don't mean to put all the burden on you, but thank you for doing this.
No. It's I'll have a bill here.
Yeah. Okay. The stepping stones.
Payable in wine.
The stepping stones remain.
Yes.
Okay, and bluestone cap, from what I see, that all remains.
That remains.
The gravel drip edge.
Remains.
Okay.
And pea gravel okay for that, for number 5?
Yes. Oh, you're asking me or?
No, I'm asking the commission.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's on the sort of north, or I guess that's the north side, really, right?
Yeah.
I guess no problem with that. The driveway. Number 7.
That stays. I
No,
mean,
number 7 is
we're
the asphalt
asking for
drive.
that.
I
Right.
have an observation with the asphalt drive.
Right, that stays the same.
I have should we discuss this point or can we discuss the asphalt, the removal of the asphalt drive?
I think we had no problem with that, correct?
Well, I do have a problem with it. I think it's too wide. I think that it goes to the edge of the structure of the house, and I don't know exactly what's the rationale for that, but I think that it would be better if there's a small edge between the house and the asphalt. Because what it was described this morning is was going right to the edge, and it would make it a fairly wide driveway, especially after we have removed the bumped out.
So do we want to see that, see another rendering of that on the landscape plan? Is that
It
what you want
doesn't,
to do?
just to be clear, it doesn't go to the house unless it's by the side entry door. The driveway would end where the brick remains. So that planting bed remains on the left-hand side, and it stops at the chimney, which gives it 3 to 4 feet of planting bed against the house.
Okay, what I saw this morning when you pointed what was the edge of the gravel was that it was almost adjacent to the house, and it actually it involved removing some plants that were existing there. I may have misunderstood what you were saying, but
Yeah, I think you did. There was no plant removal there.
if that's the case, then I have no objections at all. That was one of the things I wanted to say.
Okay, so that's number 7.
And I say about number 7, this is exactly why we would have a site plan or a landscape plan, is to see where that line is and what it looks like, right? Rather than relying on a couple of people's memory from the site visit. That's not documented.
Well, it is on the landscape plan that I submitted already.
With the porch taken off.
Yes.
Okay, so that is documented. So let's move to number 8. Granite curbing.
We are withdrawing that request.
Okay, so that comes off. The air conditioning units, number 9.
We still need the air conditioning units.
And with the screening, well, we don't have any say over screening, so, okay, moving on to number 10.
Well, I'm sorry, if it's visible from the street, of course we have say over the street.
It is visible from the street. It's on the side of the house, and one of the thoughts that I had this morning is was they could be rotated 90 degrees and be placed behind the house, where the tub currently is located. I don't know if the applicant may have an observation on that subject.
There is the screening of the driveway is an evergreen screening, so it would actually terminate the ability to see the air conditioning condensers from the street, and from the rear view where they would be visible from the cemetery, they would not be visible from that angle. So by keeping them where they are, we're actually buffering them from the front of the house and the back of the house.
I think that's a very good argument.
And if
Okay.
they're right next to the existing bulkhead and where the electric meter and just other utilities are, so it seemed like it made sense to concentrate all that in as small an area as possible.
Okay, that is
Yeah, we forget there are 2 angles, two view sites of view into this house. Okay, hot tub is off for now.
Yeah,
The granite terrace, that's a redesign.
yeah, because it was proposed where we are now going to propose the hot tub be.
Right. Removing the,
So, no, I'm sorry, Dennis, so 11, that is gone from,
that'll be in the next phase.
so we're not considering that this evening.
Yeah, we're not considering that now. Where are we on 12?
So the evergreen, it's an arborvitae that's growing into the house. It's just one lone arborvitae on the side of the house where we're taking the overhang off and propose to replace it with the same evergreen hedge that we are proposing down the driveway.
Okay. We don't get into landscaping, but we do, but there's a removal of a concrete strip there, which I don't think anybody would have problems with. Anybody have a problem with that?
No, that we can discuss it.
Okay, so moving on to number 13, the overhang.
We would still like to remove that.
Right, and I gather we didn't have any problems with that. Number 14, we've decided we'd either want, that you're going to do copper there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that everything?
Yeah.
Lucas, is that it?
That's
Tim?
it. That's everything that's on the
Narrative.
current proposal.
Okay, so what we're going to approve then, or what we're going to vote on, it's item number 1. Can I do this, Dennis? I don't want to. I'm just trying to be.
Put it in the form of a motion.
Well, I think that we should discuss. I'm just expressing my opinion. I think we should discuss these matters and make sure that the commissioners know which are the items that are being discussed, and then we should vote on these matters, on the ones that we discussed, and approve them or deny them. And that then we should make a note in the motion that certain items identified by number are not being considered and are being withdrawn, are not being considered and are not approved.
Sure.
Because otherwise the applicant would say, well, you did not discuss this, so the application needs to be continued. We want to move ahead.
So why don't you read through?
Okay, so what we would be discussing is the removal of the non-historic enclosed porch that was added in 1970. We would be, that's issue number 1. We would not approve issue number 2, which is painting the chimneys white. We will not discuss issue number 3 because the applicant has, we have determined that what the applicant is doing is replacement in kind. So we would not approve item number 4, that it's 2 dog statues in the front yard. We will discuss installing 2 stepping stones leading from sidewalks to the west side door of the house, and the rest of the walkway with 3/8 gravel laid over existing concrete, and a bluestone cap to match the front steps. Is that an accurate statement, Lily? Are we, or what's happening there?
Sorry, where?
Item number 5.
Yep, we would like to keep that the same.
Okay,
And that's correct.
So you want to that be part of the
Yes.
Okay. Then number 6 is install a gravel drip edge along the front of the house with a black metal edge at grade. Gravel 3/8 per P gravel. See photo number 6. You want to keep that as well, right?
We want to keep that.
Okay. Number 7 is the driveway. Remove existing asphalt drive and replace with 3/8 gravel. Install black metal edge at grade on both sides of the driveway to separate the driveway from the planting bed. You want to keep that.
Yes.
Number 8, it's install 3 rows of 18 wide reclaimed granite curbing laid flat as an apron at the end of the driveway. That we can consider, but we will not approve it because it goes against most of the precedents that we have established, that we, in general, we don't approve aprons separating the driveways from sidewalks.
We're withdrawing that request.
Okay, so that will not be considered. Then next one is number 9, which is install 2 air conditioning units next to the existing bulkhead, which will be screened with boxwood hedge, and we can discuss that, and we can make the caveat that it's going to be as proposed, meaning that it's going to be a screen, and we have purview on that because we can determine vegetation if it's to screen something. Okay, sorry, I'm not paying attention to. Okay, number 10, it's not approved, and the applicant says that it's withdrawing that part of the application. Number 11 is the same. Number 12, you still want to remove the evergreen, but that's all. That has no purview for the HTC because that's all vegetation, right?
Right.
So we will not consider that. And then the overhang roof attached to the house or the west side, you want to keep that?
No, yes,
And then you want to install metal gutters, but instead of being black, they're going to be copper.
that's correct.
Okay, so that's the application we have before us.
Anybody have any questions about all of this? I don't hear any or see
Well,
any.
Dennis, I think, aren't we going to take these one by one as we're?
Well, I think that I think that we should discuss it one by one.
Yes.
And that's the reason that we're. I'm going to stop sharing my screen if that's okay. Or should I keep? No, I should keep doing that.
Walter, what are you doing one by one? What do you mean?
We just went to, the first step we took was to separate what was going to be considered from what was not. The second was to confirm that, which is what we just went through. And then I think, I at least think that we should discuss the existing items here.
I agree. That was
least one by one. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to discuss them one by one because we've already been through them all.
We haven't.
We went through them all initially as we went through the application.
Well,
So I think
but we don't discuss them.
so you feel we need to go
we
through
discussed-
all
we
these
discussed-
items one by
we discussed-
one and discuss.
We discussed broadly whether we were going to discuss them, I think.
That's
That was my understanding.
Okay, fine. So let's start with number 1. Do we have any
It may be
questions?
very
about
quick.
that? Pardon?
It may be very quick.
Hopefully it'll be very quick. And Luis, since you have the list, number 1.
Number 1 is the existing porch. Remove the porch.
And anybody have any questions about that?
Okay. The
next one?
The next one to be discussed is number
5.
5.
Well, number 4 that the applicant is withdrawing. Number 5. That's right.
Right, number 5.
And that is installed 2 stepping stones leading from the sidewalk to the west side of Dorothy House.
Okay, questions about that? Does anybody have any questions?
Just color of bluestone. Is there a range of color?
I'm sure there's
To match the front, it's to match the front walk.
Is
And
that an
It's the
existing?
existing bluestone. It won't match exactly just
Yeah.
because.
Okay, so it's
it'll be
matching the
aged, but-
existing. I'm fine. Okay, thank you.
Number 6 is install gravel drip edge along the front of the house with a black metal edge installed at grade.
any questions? I'm assuming that gravel will match.
It'll match the gravel of the driveway and it'll match the gravel of that walkway.
Right, that's what I assumed.
But I just have a question on that. Their drip edge is like a roof reference. Is this 2 different things? Is this a black roof edge, a rake detail and a black landscape metal edge? Or is this the
No,
same
it's-
thing?
It's just, what I refer to a drip edge is 18 inches out from the foundation. You have gravel so that you don't get splashing on the house. And it's a tidy edge.
Okay,
So we've got
I
the
get you, Lee.
existing Boxwood.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to clarify, we're talking, it's just one piece of landscape that's separating the two materials. Thank you.
Yes.
The
Okay,
next one is the asphalt drive.
Right.
Number 7, the asphalt drive.
Right, replacing that. Questions about that?
Yeah, I would like to see what it's actually going to look like once the other things are done there. So rather than approving it at this point based on conversation and a 10-month-old proposal, if we are revisiting a landscape plan, I think that seeing definitively where that is and having a definitive plan to approve.
It's definitively on the landscape plan that was proposed for the August 7th meeting.
I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say. I will go on faith.
I'm looking for the.
Walter, thank you.
Okay, so that will be number 7. Number 8, it's being withdrawn by the applicant, which
Right.
is number 9 is the 2 air conditioning boxes. Which we just discussed that they should go on the side, or that the applicant proposed that they would go on the side. Number 10.
They're on 9. They're on the street side.
No, number 9. Sorry.
It's the number that's not clear.
Then number 10, it's will not be discussed. We consider the applicant has withdrawn that part of the application. The same with number 11 and number 12. The HDC has no purview. And number 13, it's the overhang roof, and number 14 is the black metal gutters that the commission has proposed that they be copper.
And design for the gutters? Half round?
Yes.
Is that the photo you have? Is that the photo is,
The photo is black gutters.
but the shape will be the
Half
same,
round?
right?
Shape will be the same.
Shape will be the same, but in copper.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just, I'm going to say my usual here, tip to homeowners and people, which is make them big, because otherwise they are going to overflow even the 18-inch pea gravel drip based on.
Yep, absolutely.
And downspouts need to be big.
Okay, so I think we're now ready to vote on these items. And Luis, as the expert on this, are you willing to tackle this?
Is there anything in exchange?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a double scotch after this meeting. All right.
Go for it.
I move that we approve the application of 29 Lexington Road as stated in the project narrative with the following details. Item number 1, I move that we approve item number 1. Item number 5, correct? I have my item number 6, item number 7, item number 9, and item number 13, and item number 14 with the caveat that the gutters will not be black but copper. And that the other parts of the application be considered withdrawn by the applicant.
And you're making that motion, correct?
I'm making that motion. I move that we do that.
Okay. Do I have a second on that motion?
Dennis, can we just add to have an updated site plan submitted administratively
No,
as part
no,
of this?
no administratively. That's the application we're approving. That's the only thing we're approving. The applicant now has to submit a new application for the things that he wants to do on the back.
Luis, what he's talking about is
I'm talking
documenting
about documenting what we just
approved on a,
what we just approved. Get
update
a
to
site, because otherwise it's just, we have no drawing that reflects all the decisions. No document of tonight's decisions.
No, but we have a drawing that Lily made that has most of the things that we're approving. Is that correct?
It has more than you were approving. I mean,
Exactly.
so I think some things need to
Okay.
be taken off
So-
the
so-
existing drawing.
No.
I'm asking the question. I mean, we do have a site plan that reflects the layout, right, Elizabeth, Lily?
Yes, yeah.
And some things have been removed, as Luis is saying, that we've taken them off.
Right.
So Dennis, if you and Luis are comfortable with, that's the site plan that's been submitted, and that's the one we've amended in verbal form tonight. If people are okay with that, then I withdraw my concern.
Okay.
Again, I would just remind everyone that's not a site plan. It is an
A landscape
plan.
architect plan. Well, I
Site landscape plan.
I would like to add to my motion that it will be determined administratively if there are any items the applicant must submit administratively to the town planner in a timely manner in order to document the full extent of the application. That makes
So
sense.
do I have a second for this motion?
Second.
Tim, thank you. Okay, so let's get a vote. Tim?
Aye.
Let me see. Melinda,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Hooray!
Thank you.
Gee,
Can I have some Valium?
you can't say we're not thorough.
I'm going to have a drink. Just kidding.
If you want to come over, Lily. We have plenty.
Lily and Sir, congratulations. You can move forward on some items.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody's effort and their contribution to the process.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next, which is the Concord Art Association, 73 Lexington Road, American Mile Historic District, to demolish existing Coleman Gallery and construct a new two-story addition and ADA compliant entrance, including new gutters, lighting, HVAC with privacy fence, and relocation of bulkhead. And I saw John is here.
That's correct.
Are you leading the battle tonight?
I will indeed. I will indeed.
Here's the fun.
So we were here at our last meeting with a slightly modified overall proposal, and we have a few new members. Let me just give a little bit of background history. This is a design which was previously approved about 1.5 years ago. We went back. We pulled out a few things to try and reduce the budget on the overall project. We represented it last week at our last meeting. I think in general, things were well received, but people did not like the way that the new entrance had taken on a more traditional vocabulary. So we have rethought the way the entrance works and taken it back to look more like the original design, which was a more contemporary entry piece, which sort of kept in the spirit of the new edition. And we've gone with, again, we've returned to that flat roof piece with this and a single modern column. We've gotten away from that gable roof, which sort of faced the street, which was somewhat, but what was not well received. And we have change the entrance door into that portion of the building. That's really the only design change we've made. We've also updated and shown that as we touch the existing rail on the walkway, we're now going to be complying with the new handicapped accessibility regulations. We will be having handrails on both sides per the ADA code. So those are the revisions that we have submitted to you from our previous effort, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions. I could go on at great length, but I would be happy to also just receive your comments.
Great. There are some of you that had questions last time. I think Tim, you did in particular. Is anybody have any comment on the changes?
I can start. I just really like the quiet new entrance. I think it looks very good and muted. The main entrance, as I understand it, to the museum is to the gallery is still the front door of the original house. So this is if you will, John, correct me if I'm wrong, more of a service entrance. I know it's a student entrance and side entrance, but it's not the main entrance to the building, but it is the accessible entrance.
You are exactly right.
And
it reads as a second entrance, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the question I have, which I raised last time, having to do with the handrails, which are pretty prominent, is there's no way you can get that to be a 1 in 20 or less slope, so we don't have to deal with the ADA railings on both sides.
What we'd like to do is what we'd like to do would be to get approval for these railings, which are the minimal ADA acceptable handrail. We also had a development in mind, which, and if I may, even though I know you guys are not that fond of having me do this, I'm going to sketch on the screen. We had also looked at an idea of being able to bring a walkway in this way that would avoid the grade change. We were not able to confirm that it would work in time. So if we could get approval we'd like to get approval for the handrails if necessary, and allow us the privilege of finding a way to eliminate them. And if we were to do that, we would have 2 steps out here at the street, and then that walkway would reconnect up.
Sorry, if I can just continue my train of thought for 1 second, but Mass Architectural Access Board, you need an intermediate handrail, not something down on the ground. So I don't think these are represented right.
No, John, can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kristen First. I'm the landscape designer on the project. And I have reviewed all of this with the Architectural Access Board. In fact, that middle rail is when it is serving an audience that's a younger audience. If we have a lot of children entering this building, we would require that middle rail. In this case, we just need the upper rail and then that lower rail. And as I said, I reviewed this very specific detail with the Access Board.
Okay, news to me, thank you.
Just a quick question. Are there any ADA regulations about the color of the rails?
It would be a black wrought iron, similar to the other railings on the site.
Tim, please. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, I know there's no, is that an accessible entrance on the existing house as well?
Currently, this is an accessible entrance, and it's in its previous iteration, when the times were handled more loosely, we got away with a single railing down one side, so it was less prominent.
Okay, and so the proposal is that's still an accessible.
That is correct.
I know you guys, I'm sure it'd just be great to get it to 1 to 20 somehow. And I know the challenges I don't know exactly. I looked at a topo map and it didn't seem like a huge amount of grade, but I get what you're saying. You're probably going to have some steps at the front, and then
Correct.
how do you get around that? So
We actually did extensive studying of the grading here and
yeah,
did multiple iterations, and it's virtually impossible to meet the public way and that entrance without a ramp.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
A quick question for John and for Kristen. Are there any alternatives for the color of the, I know that it's a black copper, but sometimes when you have a brownish tinge, it tends to blend into the surrounding environment a little better, so it would not be as prominent. And at least from the drawing, the only thing that strikes me is that it's like a very strong structure.
I think that's an issue of the character of looking at a graphic. I think if we were to look at an existing photograph of the front of the building, you would see that there's an existing wrought iron black railing, and it's really quite no, go to the front door, please. Go to the front door if you would. Go to the
Hold on a second.
Bob, go to the
I'm moving. Hold
um
on.
the
Hold, please. I'm joking, guys. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find a good photo.
yeah, you can see those black rails right there. They're really quite light, and they're quite common throughout town. It's a much more understated piece than the graphic in our drawing represents.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
They will have to be thicker than that to meet ADA code, but we do not need to use the pipe railing that is sort of shown in that drawing. It will have a molded top like like that picture. So that is similar to the railing at the front door, but to meet code, it will be slightly thicker.
Great. Other questions?
Oh, I would just say, looks good to me as Mr. False Promise from last time.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that does it. Do we have a motion?
Public comments?
Oh, excuse me, I keep forgetting public comments. Louis, you haven't kept me up. Gee, sorry. Do we have public comments about this? No public comments. So do we have a motion?
I move that. I'm sorry, you go.
I thought you were tired, Luis.
I'm tired, but I just want to go home.
I move that we approve 37 Lexington Road Concord Art Association submission, the resubmission as submitted.
Second.
Okay, so let's get some votes on this. Tim?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Thank you all very much.
Look forward to the building going up. What's
We're
the
going to be
timeframe?
our intent is to start construction on utilities and stuff like that over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks, and begin construction during the wintertime, in the fall and the wintertime.
Great, wonderful. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Okay, so the last hearing is the town of Concord, 12 Main Street Historic District, to install ground lighting to properly illuminate the American flag. And who's from the town?
That would be me. Russ Carlstead.
Okay, good. So what have you come up with for lighting this time?
Well, first introduce myself. I'm the new facility manager in Concord. I've been here about 6 months.
And I was brought in on this because I have some experience in lighting based on my architectural past and other projects I've worked on. So I was shown a layout that was presented. I don't know if it was presented to the board or not, the commission, for a post-mounted ground light shooting up, which is not dark sky compliant, and the town is dark sky compliant. Then I was also had a conversation where maybe some uplighting off the brick patio, which again would not be dark sky compliant, which would also involve an awful lot of work on existing infrastructure that we really may not want to do. So I suggested maybe a solar option for the top of the pole to light the lights. And what I'm here for is some direction from this board or commission on what they would like to see there. So I don't have any actual lighting application to be approved tonight. I just want to have a conversation about where you would like me to go and find a specific item to come back for approval.
So your thought now is to do something that would be a downlight from the top of the pole, is that it?
Yeah, as light of a, as low intensity of a light as I can to get proper illumination on the flag. Again, you saw earlier today with the bollard lamps, 3000 Kelvin would be the color. Instead of the traditional 2800 Kelvin from a light from a incandescent. And to try to find the right fixture to get approval might take some time to find, based on some comments I've heard about other lighting applications today, but I'm sure we could find something that'll be appropriate.
Thoughts on moving to a downlight rather than uplight for the pole?
Yes, just to stay dark sky compliant. Because those flagpoles are fairly low at Veterans Park, if we had a post light, you have a light clearly shining in people's faces at times, depending how it is on reflection, refraction. And the ground light coming up is clearly not dark sky compliant, nor do they really do a good job on lighting flagpoles just because of their fixed location. You have to use a lot of light with a wide throw, so we don't want to do that. So I'm suggesting we go to a downlight at the top of the post.
I'll say I think it's a great idea. Seems to make
Okay.
great sense.
Good. In that case, I will find a product and I'll come back before you for approval.
Well, that's my comment. I don't know what everybody
I
else
know.
has to say about it.
Well,
This must be somebody must have done this somehow, somewhere, right?
yeah, I've had success with these solo downlights in previous applications in previous cities and towns.
For
They've
light
come up.
poles? I mean, for flagpoles?
Yeah, for flagpoles. Yeah, they've come a long way in the last few years. You got a lifespan of 3 years out of them. They're inexpensive, and they just keep getting better.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What are the hours that they plan to have the flag? What time does the flag get taken down every night is my question. Or are you planning to have this flag fly all night long, 24 hours a day, and it's always going to be lit up?
The flags are up 24/7 now.
Oh, they are.
They have to be lit dusk to dawn.
Okay, I didn't know.
Or
Alright.
they could staff someone to take them down, but that wasn't in the program.
Okay. But there wouldn't be like a sensor that would turn them off at like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. or anything?
No, it
like
has
that?
to be dusk to dawn. And
Okay.
that's why it's very critical you get the right lighting intensity so you're not bothering the neighboring buildings there.
Okay,
So it's federal law.
okay.
If it's flown, it has to be lit. Right?
Right, unless it's taken down, right?
Yeah, if you take them down, then it becomes a labor question, and that's a whole nother process.
Right. Any other questions?
I have a technical question for Kim. This is listed as a continued public hearing. So is there an application that we have to act upon? Or should we consider that the applicant is withdrawing the application that's being continued and that a new application will be presented?
I would suggest that they withdraw the application and start new, because it is quite different. That would be my suggestion.
Then
So we could withdraw without prejudice and reapply.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so that is the direction that I would like to go in then, and I'll take charge on this and get the right product in front of the board, commission, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're withdrawing the application and you're going to come back to us with something with a new proposal, hopefully top lit. Top
Correct,
down.
yeah, withdraw without prejudice.
Great. Any questions about that? Thank you, Luis, again. Great, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm also here for the trailer.
Okay, good. We found the right guy with the trailer. Okay.
Well, I heard about this meeting this week, and then I saw there was a trailer on there, and I said, what's the trailer? And, oh, it's our trailer. So, at 135 Kais, we're considering putting a small office trailer in the rear of the building adjacent to the existing generator. I did send a small graphic over. I don't know if you received it or not. Also, as part of this, we are in the process of relocating the cardboard recycling center over to the landfill site. So that will take that cardboard operation out of our working area, which has been a big safety concern and a trash concern. And it also takes up parking spots. So there's actually a couple moves going on. So the net result would be a much cleaner site from the street. And we would get the extra office space we need for the short term until we have a final solution for CPW's location as part of the 2020 master plan.
You said you had a graphic of what this looks like?
Yeah,
You said-
I had sent something over. I don't know if you guys had gotten it in time this morning. Let me pull up, see if I can share screen and see if it'll work. Am I able to share screen here? Where am I? Let me find it. There it is. All right. Can you see that?
Yes. Oops.
I'm now back to you guys again. Hi again.
It went away.
Yeah, let me find that again. So, can you see that graphic?
No.
All right, let me share it again. Anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is just a quick clip off of a map. And you can see in the red rectangle is a proposed location of the trailer, which is right behind 135 Kais. The purple rectangle is where the cardboard and other recycling items are, and those are going to be relocated to the landfill site. That will be the first step. So this whole area will now be cleaned up and much more attractive to the eye. People who are using, you can see the walkway here to the path. So that goes away. And we get this office trailer here for 3 staff members for 2 to 3 years anyways.
Can you really
that's the
see
whole
that?
proposal.
Can you really see that from any right of way?
You won't be able to see the trailer where we're
Okay.
where we're locating it because it's behind the high pedestal and gen set that's over there.
Okay. Questions about the trailer?
Isn't there a trail running to the north side of the property?
There is a
Mass-
trail, yes, and you can see that hatched area right here. That's the entrance to that trail right here. So one of our problems operating the site is people are in here unloading cardboard. It's in the way of, CPW vehicles. It's a pedestrian hazard, people out walking around while other vehicles are trying to squeeze by. So that's why we're relocating this over to the landfill site. we'll grab 6 or 7 parking spots back to the inventory here. And then we're gonna lose 1, 2, 4 or 5 parking spots here, so it's a net gain of 2 parking spots to the site. Plus it cleans up this potential pedestrian hazard and eyesore that we have on site.
But as Kristen is pointing out, that is the path is considered a right of way, so it can be seen.
Yeah, you can see when you're walking on the path, you can see all the back of this garbage over here, this cardboard dumpster area.
You'll see
And-
the new trailer as well.
You'll see the trailer. The trailer is going to be the same color as the building, so it'll mesh right in.
And you're not asking for permission, you're just telling us about this at this point to see if we have any problems with it.
I want
Is
to
that-
see if you have any issues with it moving forward. I assume when we put the building permit in for the trailer app that you guys were flagged, and that's why we're on the agenda. So,
Great. Anybody have any problems with the sighting of the trailer?
No, I regret that I'm not gonna be able to put all my cardboard so conveniently.
we're going to have a larger capacity machine over at the other area, so you'll be
We
happy.
can dump our paint.
Okay, well, if there are no questions, thank you for letting us know about this.
All right, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you again for the lighting application.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, bye.
Great. And we have some minutes before. I just wanted to take a few minutes to say that our new liaison with the select board is Cameron McKenna. I think you may have all known that. I don't know if any of you know Cameron, but he has been a very conscientious liaison. He's afraid he can't attend too many meetings. I don't think he's attended any to date, but he plans to at some point. But he's been very responsive. I've met with him twice now, once with Anne, to talk about to help educate him in what the HDC does, what we're about, and what's going on. I met with him recently to focus on 615 Lowell Road, which has not gone away. And as you know, that's been somewhat contentious for the HDC in that we've been cut out of the process now that it's a lawsuit. I've expressed my concern that we're cut out of the process. He understood it and our concerns. I also walked through the whole history of the site and how we got to the lawsuit, which he was not aware of. So he has some understanding, at least from our point of view, of where this stood. I brought it up at the last chairs meeting. I don't think I got a very warm reception, but I did want to make the select board aware of the fact that we would like to know more of what's going on, and we'd like to have some participation in it. So we'll see where that goes. I have to thank him for Kristen and Lewis. He moved quickly on those appointments, or as quickly as he could. So right now we are at full capacity, but Luis's position really he's filling in, thankfully, for an open position, and we need to find one more slot eventually, so he can retire from the HDC. But anyway, I wanted to bring you up to date on all of that and the fact that we are being heard, at least through our liaison. So if there are no questions about that, I will ask for the minutes. Kim?
So we have minutes from February 21st, March 6th, and April 17th. And let me grab those.
Let's look at the February one. I don't know if everybody has read them, if anybody has any questions about them, but I would like to move on those, unless there are any questions.
Of course I have a question. On February 21st, there's a reference to William Anderson's extraordinary sundials, which seems to be editorializing to me. I'm not sure that we want to be saying that in the description of something that was being proposed on our part. Minor point.
Okay, so if we removed extraordinary, you'd be happy.
I think that we as a commission would be better served by removing the word extraordinary as a descriptor for something that's being proposed.
It just means, Walter, that it's not good or bad. It's just out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary.
Right.
Okay, I'm saying just proof that I'm reading things. You know about the was it Van Halen's M&Ms? In their rider, they always had the
the brown M&Ms.
Brown M&Ms removed from the candy dish.
Oh,
And they
right.
did it not because they hated brown M&Ms, but because if the brown M&Ms were still there, they had to assume that the lights might fall down on their heads because the details weren't being taken care of.
Okay.
There.
Walter, thank you very much. So
Okay.
we'll remove extraordinary. And
Okay.
do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Can
I
I,
move we
we-
approve the minutes.
can I say one other thing?
Sure.
Thank you. On the subject of minutes, a few months back, there was an effort being made that people who were not present at meetings had actually read them and filed a document to that effect. Is that something that we're still doing? I don't remember the name of it. Kim, maybe you do.
I don't recall that, but I can ask Anne, certainly.
Yeah, I think if Anne were here, she would probably go
Yeah.
right to that. So I believe that only people who were actually participating or could swear with a document that they had watched the video and participated that way would be able to vote on minutes, which does affect the voting on minutes in general.
Correct. And we have been having everybody to vote on these rather than just the voting members, although only the voting members count. So we'll look into that. Do I have a motion on the February minutes? No one wants to move to pass the February minutes?
I move we approve the minutes from February 21, 2024,
One.
March 6, 2024, and April 17th, 2024.
Oh, you want to pass them all? Good.
Yeah,
Were there any
because,
questions? Were there any questions about any of the, we were focused in February, questions about the other minutes?
Just a comment, of course, which is that there is not a record of who the voting members were in the minutes for the other two. At one of them, all members were present, I believe, on the 17th. But there's not a record of who was actually voting on these. Or there's one where there's only 5.
Exactly, that
Which
is
the 24th.
implicit.
Yeah,
The
on the
one from the
21st,
3rd is implicit.
21st, there were only 5 members of the commission present, I believe, so everybody voted, and that was clear, but the others is unclear. Just if you're concerned about things like 615, makes sense to 615
But
rule.
we are only considering February, March, and April.
Right.
Oh, I'm kidding. So you're referring to 615 or something else.
Yeah, I'm just saying that on the 221, there were 5 members present. On 3, 6, 8 members were present. And not a concern there for who was voting, because it was the 5 full members who would have voted. It can be figured out, but it's been unclear and as a record in the meeting for who actually has been voting.
Well, yeah, okay. From the one from February, there are 5 members, so all of them vote. For the one for April, from March, there are 5 full members, so they all vote. And the one for April, there are 5 members, I think. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
All I'm saying is that it's something that in housekeeping should be taken care of.
That has to be added. So I withdraw the motion to approve the one from 417.
but you're moving to approve 221 and 36.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so do I have a second?
Second.
Great. So all in favor, I guess, those attending?
Aye.
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 Not sure. Can I say aye to the minutes? I
You can
wasn't-
say aye, but you weren't there. And we know Lewis wasn't there. Great, so those pass, and you'll come back to us with with 47, no, with which one do we want? 221? Is that
No,
the
417.
417.
417?
417 is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 417 you'll come back to us with.
Okay.
And I think from now on, we ought to have the names on there of those who are there.
Okay.
Voting members, yeah.
Yep, voting members. Great. Anything else? Hopefully not.
Let me tell
Good.
you about my grandchildren.
No, Luis, we don't need your grandchildren. Go ahead,
No,
go have your two
Shut
scotches.
up.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Goodbye.